Salam Media, your spiritual companion this Ramadan.
Welcome back to Salam Media. I'm your host, Dr. Dawood. It is now 38 minutes past 3 on a beautiful Friday afternoon. Yes, it was Laylatul Qadr last night. Many people filled up the mosque. It was Jummah today, the final Jummah of the month of Ramadan. I hope that everybody took advantage of all the merciful and the opportunities that our creator has put on the table for us to take advantage of throughout this month. Well, next up I'm going to be chatting to Mr. Nthangeni, Shadrack Nthangeni. He is the spokesperson for Boxing South Africa, and in the world of sports admin, myself and him come a long way. But right now, let's chat everything boxing. South Africa has a great history in boxing in South Africa. Boxing was once upon a time one of the great sports in South Africa, with great boxers coming out of South Africa. If you go as early as 1927, you've got Philly Smith. Then we've also got the more later boxers that my parents have told me about, the likes of Gerrie Coetzee, Pete Cross. These are all guys that my parents have told me about. And then later on for myself, I got to witness the likes of Baby Jakes Matlala, and there's so many others that there obviously is. But right now, we're going to be chatting about how boxing is on the rise in South Africa once again. Mr. Nthangeni, thanks so much for taking the time out of your afternoon to join me on Salam Media. It's always a pleasure chatting to you, man.
Thank you so much, Takir, and I'd like to greet all the Salam Media, viewers and listeners, and I hope we're going to have a great conversation. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's always amazing chatting to a guy with knowledge as broad as yours, because we could chat boxing, but if you throw it to any other sport, you'll be capable, and competent to answer that. Mr. Nthangeni, first up, Boxing South Africa is on the rise as an organization. Boxing in South Africa is on the rise in South Africa. What's the secret formula behind that?
Thank you, Takir, for that question. I must tell you that the boxing is on the rise because the Honorable Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Natim Tetwa, intentionally appointed, a board which consists of quality cadres who have a historical background and understanding of the sport of boxing, and also all other sporting codes, and also different experience and expertise that they brought on board. Therefore, our task was very clear from onset. We were given a very clear directive by the minister that go and make boxing great again. Like you said in your preamble, that we are coming from an era whereby boxing used to be a sporting code which was just behind football in terms of viewership, in terms of follower. There were times that when we were on SABC, you find that when Blow by Blow was on TV, in a week we'll have over 10 million viewership. People who used to follow the sport of boxing with passion. Then our mandate was that clear, that go and make boxing great again. We want to see boxing on TV. We want the corporate South Africa, the corporate sponsors to come back and partner with boxing. And that's what we are doing as a board.
And boxing is definitely getting to the levels that where it should be. Let me just be politically correct here and fix myself. In my intro, it wasn't Mr. Nthangeni. Dokotela. Come on, man. Why don't you correct me on this?
No, I'm a humble servant of the fraternity. Therefore, at times, whether you call me with my first name, it doesn't change anything. But I still appreciate that you are able to correct that. But all is well.
Well, Doc, looking at things, boxing South Africa has seen some weird things happen in the past few weeks that hasn't happened before. We've seen around the world these celebrities take one another on and they rack in the cash for themselves. I mean, now we've seen it happen in South Africa with Celeb City. We had the likes of Narc Music taking on Casper Nyovest, in which was an entertaining fight, but a more entertaining weekend for that matter. We've had betting organizations getting involved. We've had broadcasters getting involved, the celebrities of South Africa getting involved. And once again, boxing was the talk of the weekend, overshadowed all the other sports on television. Doc, looking at this, what magnitude does the influences of South Africa have on the success of boxing's future in South Africa?
Thank you, Takir. Indeed, the Celeb City fight was something special. And you will know that boxing is one of the sporting code which is highly regulated. Is regulated by Act number 11 of 2001. Therefore, whatever we do in boxing must be informed by the principle of what is prescribed by the Act. Therefore, we are also very much careful that when we are getting the celebrity boxers to come in and try to enthuse and try and revive the sport, we should not lose sight of the fact that boxing is still a professional sport. We really appreciate and embrace this initiative that we can work with these celebrities because we know they've got a huge following. You will know that during that evening of the 9th of April, everything was a standstill. People could not go to bed before they could watch their favorite celebrities giving each other those heavy, punches. And it was also good that, as much as we said that the fight will be starting at 6 o'clock, you'll find that South Africans had to be exposed to our junior boxers because you find that they never knew some of our female boxers and some of our junior boxers. Therefore, it was an opportunity for us to give an exposure to those upcoming youngsters because the South Africans, the Africans, and other people globally were waiting to see the celeb city fight later on that evening. Therefore, indeed, if we can really fine tune how we can work with these celebrity boxers, we can make boxing great again. Because you will know that boxing is one of the sport that we can make millionaire, we can make billionaire out of the sport. However, in the past couple of years, that has been dwindling, that has been going down, and we are on the upward trajectory, and we will indeed formulate this structurally so that as much as the celebrity boxers benefit from the betting company, from the broadcaster, boxing as an entity should also be able to look at something tangible that they would have benefit out of that. Therefore, I believe that working together with both the celebrity who want to get involved in the sport and also our legend, our former boxers, we can indeed make boxing great once again.
Well, talking about making boxing great, you've resurrected boxing out of the graves, and now it's on its way to being something great in South Africa. What are you doing different compared to what's been done over the past few years for us to know what's happening in boxing once again?
What we're doing different, Takir, is that immediately when we took office, we embarked on road shows with all our licensees because you know that for you to participate in boxing, you must be a licensee who has a license for you to participate. Therefore, we had to go around, uh, and that for us was a session where we had to go and listen to our licensee. What are the challenges? So that when we go and craft our new blueprint of where we want to take the sport of boxing in the next 3 years, because our term of office It's only 3 years, and already end of December next year in 2023, it will be coming to an end. We want to leave a lasting legacy as this board, that this will be the thing that we've got right. You know that female boxers have lost appetite in the past couple of years. Therefore, we're also trying to revive that, to say we also take women boxers seriously, and we want them to come on board, so that as time goes by, we should also be talking about equal pay for equal value of work, because for them, they're still boxers, the same as their
Mm.
male counterpart. Therefore, that is something different which we are doing as a new board. And for us to be able to go and knock in those doors that previously seems to be closed, for us to be able to finalize a memorandum of an agreement with the grassroots structure of boxing, Sanabo, which is the bedrock of development. For us, that was a major breakthrough. And I think for us to go back to the drawing board to say, what is that we can make boxing great again? We are ticking all those boxes that remained opened.
And talking about ticking boxes, your board has now invested more time and effort and also more finances into grassroots boxing in this country. And we're gonna get to the glitz and the glam at the higher level, but with 3 years on your term to invest into grassroots boxing, that a level that goes unseen for many. This is a big risk that I would think you are taking. What was the thought behind it?
You know that development is quite keen for any sporting code, and for any visionary leadership. You should be able to invest in development in young people, because without the pipeline development of the young boxers, there is no future for the sport of boxing. You will know that in the past, you will have good boxers like the likes of Philip Tambomdo going to the Olympics. And you go to the history book and look, when last did boxing produce boxers to go to the Olympics? You find that you go back to many years back. You go and look, when last did we send good boxers to Commonwealth Games? You find that that has not been forthcoming. That's why we felt that it is important for us to go back to the grassroots level, where we know that that's where you can nurture the talented boxers who can come and make difference and make the country great again.
Well, I think you know where that question came from. It's like a lot of from a political space. You see many people rocking up 2 weeks before elections with T-shirts and food parcels and thinking it's going to change the whole scope of things.
Yeah,
But now we go to
yeah.
the glitz and glam, where what many people see and they'll deem as successful, even though that might not be the situation. The broadcast deals. This is something of getting taking boxing back to the people. And what is your board and how have you approached this in getting boxing broadcasted once again? Because yes, the sport can be broadcasted, but is there an interest? Now there clearly is, after having Not Music and Casper opening up the dance floor for us.
Thank you, Takir. Yes, it was clear also from the minister. I remember it's like when we were taking our oath of office, but that was just an introductory meeting where we had to meet with the minister as a new board. It was very clear from onset that I want to see the sport of boxing back on television, especially that of the public broadcaster. And I was tasked with that mandate as a media expert within the board, that please go and start the negotiation, because we need to get a deal whereby our promoters will know that when you ought to stage an event, this is the scorecard of things that you must have for you to produce a successful tournament. Because it's one thing to have broadcaster, and it's the other thing for you to be able to produce a quality and a good product, which you know that the consumer will like to consume. Therefore, for us, that was quite critical that we need to set up a stringent guideline on how to set up an event which can be broadcasted. Therefore, you will appreciate that in the next couple of weeks, we'll be making a huge and a bold announcement in terms of where are we going as far as the broadcasting rights of boxing is concerned in the country. And as a board, the executive has been going around the country in all our provinces, engaging with the promoters in terms of what our MOU agreement will entail, so that we also get their inputs, because it's key that before we can formalize this kind of deal or this kind of agreement, we've got a buy-in of the promoters, who are the people who put together the event. Therefore, we will be making an official announcement in the next coming weeks as far as the broadcasting rights of Boxing South Africa is concerned.
Well, you certainly got me spurred up. I mean, after missing out on the previous fight, because I've been celebrating and observing the month of Ramadan, and I've decided to, spiritually keep on track and keep my time for that. I missed out on the first fight. I caught some highlights, but I never managed to engage and watch the fight fully. This time, you can certainly count me in. I'll definitely be there for the next one. Doc, you know what? Boxing and sport as a whole in South Africa is going through a struggle in terms of sponsorship and getting brands behind sports. Boxing South Africa is now on the right track in order to get sponsors behind them once again. And what is the winning formula behind that? Because, with bigger sporting codes struggling, how is boxing managing to tick those boxes to get corporates on board with you?
Thank you, Takir. You know, to get a sponsorship deal during this difficult economic, downtime, it's not easy, and we also, acknowledge that. But we are working around the clock also to ensure that some of those sponsors who used to associate their brand with Boxing South Africa, we are pleading with them to come back, and we are making inroads by reviving the sport, so that they can see that there's still a value for the sport, there's still a market for the sport, because you know that in any of the sponsorship agreement, the sponsors are saying, let me scratch your back and you must scratch mine. Therefore, show me what you have, then we can invest. Therefore, that's exactly what we are doing. And the most important thing, you need to get order within the organization. And as the board, that's what we're trying to do, because there were times that boxing was or in the media for all the wrong reasons. This is happening with the CEO. This is happening with the CFO. This one is taking this one to court. Therefore, we are trying to correct that narrative, so that we ensure that we are in the media all for the right reason. Then that's when the sponsors also, they are able to acknowledge and realize that this is the brand that we can attach our name to. Because if you don't have that, unfortunately, you chase the sponsors away. You, as an organization, therefore, what we are trying to do now, we are attracting instead of chasing the sponsors away. And we believe that in a short term, we will be able to also clinch some crucial and important sponsors who will make life, easy for our boxers. Because you don't want a situation whereby you have a boxer who is a full-time taxi driver. You have a boxer who's a full-time teacher, because there should be enough resources. There should be enough money within boxing for us to ensure that both male and female boxers can focus on training and fighting without worrying so much about their full-time employment.
Well, I mean, you've got that spot on, and I mean, we've actually heard Mr. Alex Shakwane from Sundowns right before you saying the exact same thing with regards to referees in South Africa, that this should be a full-time job for them so that they could actually focus on their craft and master it. And here you're saying the same for boxers. It's certainly a call from sport as a whole, as you can pick up throughout the conversations through the show. Well, Mr. Ntangeni, Dokotela Ntangeni, I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for giving us insight on what's happening behind the scenes in boxing and making the public aware of what's happening within the boxing spaces so that we can get involved and make boxing great again in South Africa and get behind you and your board fully. I thank you so much for your time this afternoon, and I wish you all the best and Boxing South Africa all the best with their future endeavors. And we look forward to chatting soon and being at all your events.
Thank you, Tagir, for having me in your show, and I also thank the Salah media, viewers who would tune in to watch, this conversation. And we need to acknowledge and appreciate our colleagues in the media space, because without you giving us the opportunity to talk about our success, to talk about our upcoming events, we have no platform for us to express what is happening in our sport. I must tell you that tonight we are also hosting an 8 bouts show in collaboration with Free State Department of Sports, Arts and Culture, and the Dream Team promoters down in Mangaung at the Indoor Sports Center down in Bloemfontein. And that event is starting at 6 o'clock tonight. And there's also abundance of entertainment, because you cannot separate boxing from entertainment. And this is for the first time we commemorate the national days as Boxing South Africa, because the minister also make it categorically clear to us that you need to start commemorating the national day by hosting a boxing event, so that we can, especially the Freedom Day that we just celebrated, day before yesterday. Therefore, that is really something that as Boxing South Africa we also embrace, because you know that boxing played a crucial role to liberate this country from the apartheid regime. Back already in 1977, that's when you see that boxing was permitted, that both white and black, they will be able to participate without them fighting for national colors for white and national colors for black. Therefore, boxing had played a very crucial role to liberate this country as well. Therefore, thank you so much for having me.
It's always a pleasure, Doc, and we look forward to chatting to you soon. That was Dr. Shadrack Nthangeni giving us a breakdown of what's happening within those boxing spheres and spaces in South Africa and how they look to get boxing on the rise in South Africa. Well, it's been an entertaining show. I mean, Alex Shakwane giving us a breakdown of everything that's happening behind the scenes at Sundown and what it takes to put a world-class team together. And then we had um, Dr. Ntangeni telling us everything that's happening in the space of boxing. I mean, amazing show, amazing time. It's always good being on air with you guys. Well, this was the last time that I'm going to be on air for the month of Ramadan, and I wish the viewers and the listeners a blessed and a prosperous um, Ramadan Mubarak. And I hope that all your efforts and du'as that were made for you and by you during the month of Ramadan are accepted, inshallah. I mean, and I really hope that you can go out there and enjoy the day of Eid with your family and your friends and the community as a whole. And remember, let's always keep in mind the less fortunate during this time and make life easier for our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters across the globe. Well, for the last time for the month of Ramadan, that's myself, Dhakir Dawood, the technical team behind the scenes, Salilo, Makondiri, Sadek, Panti, and everybody putting the show together. We really, really appreciate you for tuning in, and I appreciate them for helping put this masterclass and this masterpiece show together. Well, For the last time in Ramadan, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.